See, really, a lot of what I want to talk about today is this. Don't try to create anything in order to have the result of peace and joy, because the lack with which you create it will still be there in your end result experience. I feel like there's a lot of people who are watching or listening to this teaching today, and you have tried so many things. You have done so many things as a means to an end. You have attempted so many things, whether consciously or subconsciously, in the hopes that peace and joy would be on the other side of it. And so you've thought, if I can just hit this income level, I'll finally feel the way I want to feel. If I can just have my dream relationship, I'll finally feel the way I want to feel. If I can just get to that milestone, if I can just heal this, if I can just get to the other side of this, then I will finally have peace. I will finally have joy. I will finally feel the way I want to feel. And I want you to consider today, how many things have you done trying to feel something that was available to you all along? How many things have you attempted as a means to an end, but when you got to the end, it didn't work, it let you down, it disappointed you? How many things have you unconsciously been doing, trying to get to feel different, trying to get to peace, trying to get to joy? And may I challenge you today, don't try to create anything in order to have the result of peace and joy, because the lack with which you create it will still be there in your end result experience. May I encourage you, don't start from scarcity or lack with anything that you create this year in any area, but rather always begin from wholeness. I really feel for somebody listening to this, the number one point of focus for your inner world right now really could be, let me continually return to unconditional peace. Let me continually return to unconditional joy. For somebody listening to this, this is the most urgent thing you could focus on in the most literal sense. For somebody listening to this, this is the best thing you could give your attention to right now. This is the best priority you could have starting off this month. Let me continually return to unconditional peace. Let me continually return to unconditional joy. And I'll just say it this way. You know, some of the teachings I have coming down the pipeline are very much in the energy of faith and vision and excitement and motivation and purpose and creating and all of that fun energy. And listen, I am, after all, the person with the core message that all things are possible for the one who believes. I love to share that kind of message. I love to share from that energy, and I certainly will be doing so in the days to come. But I just really felt like we had to begin here, because family, if you don't have peace within yourself right now, that thing you want to create is not automatically going to give it to you. If you don't know how to feel joy right now, that doesn't mean things are hopeless. That doesn't mean all hope is lost, but please don't fall for an ego trap of seek and do not find. Please hear me today from the most loving place possible. That thing you want to create is not automatically going to give you that joy. And so I just felt like before we go any further, before we create anything else, before we use our faith and our belief and our expectation for anything else, I had to bring a message about unconditional peace and unconditional joy, the two things that you and I always have access to, the two things that you and I are meant to always live with. The two things that you and I are meant to always be connected to. If I can, I want to share with you for a few minutes what actually led me to this text and to this message specifically for our community in this moment, because there's something that I found so interesting. You know, this ancient text that is known, by the way, as Philippians, like I said earlier in the teaching, is known for verses about joy and verses about gratitude and verses about empowerment and verses about not worrying or being in stress and verses about provision and all of these magnificent things and all of these principles that people love to quote. But I found it so interesting. This text that is known for all of those messages, all of those themes, all of those quotes, was written from prison. A not ideal situation, a not ideal circumstance, a not ideal set of feelings and experiences and conditions. And yet, from those conditions, from those circumstances, from a literal prison, we read these lines, and I just want to read you some of this so that you can feel this energy. From prison, from a less than ideal circumstance, from a less than ideal set of conditions, we read lines like, I'm going to keep the celebration going because I know how it's going to turn out. Join me in my rejoicing. Whatever you do, don't feel sorry for me. That's powerful, by the way, for someone to make that their position in consciousness even while going through something. I don't know who that's for, but I feel that line is specifically for somebody to claim for yourself today. He wrote, join me in my rejoicing, and whatever you do, don't feel sorry for me. I'm just going to keep reading these. Be glad in God. My dear, dear friends. This is something I speak over my partners every time I read it. My dear, dear friends, I love you so much, and I want the very best for you. You make me feel such joy. Fill me with such pride. Celebrate God all day, every day. Revel in God. I'm glad in God, far happier than you would ever guess. Again, I will remind you, this is someone writing from a very unfortunate, a very unpleasant, a very undesirable circumstance. And he says, I want you to know I'm good. You don't have to worry about me. I want you to know I'm far happier than you might guess. And now I have it all, and I keep getting more. I mean, talk about a consciousness of overflow. Somebody claim that with me in the comments. I have it all, and I just keep getting more. I have it all, and I just keep getting more. I have it all, and I just keep getting more. Wow, that's so good. I'm going to put that up on the celebration wall. I have it all, and I just keep getting more. And so it occurred to me that all of these things were written, and these aren't even the only examples I could give, but do you see what I mean? You would not think that this was someone writing from a horrible prison. And yet, maybe there's a reason that the joy book was written from that place, that the happiness book was written from that place, that the gratitude book was written from that place, that the empowerment book was written from that place, that the provision book was written from that place. It makes me think about how a Holocaust survivor in their memoir once wrote, it became vital, absolutely essential to life that we chose our thoughts over and over again, deliberately and with intention. It became vital. It was necessary. It was essential for life, she wrote, that we chose our thoughts over and over again, very deliberately and with intention. See, these are heavy topics to think about. Thinking about someone going through those inhumane experiences, thinking about someone in a horrific ancient prison. I know this isn't like happy stuff to think about or pleasant stuff to think about, but I think it's important because some people feel that personal development and spirituality is only for privileged people who don't actually have challenges, who aren't going through anything, who don't understand what it's really like to have a hard time. And I see it the opposite way. I see it as when things look the worst, when you need help the most, when you're in the most difficult, painful, unimaginable situations of them all, that is when it becomes the most necessary, the most important, the most life-impacting, that you have tools and that you have power in your inner world. And specifically from my belief system, that you have a connection to God that goes with you wherever you go. And so we might read those quotes that I read to you earlier, and we might not think that this was someone writing from a horrible prison, but nevertheless, that is what we are reading. And that is what was given. That is what was written, because this is someone who had unconditional access to peace and joy no matter where, no matter what. So much so that he was actually able to think about others and what they were going through, praying for them, blessing them, encouraging them, even while he himself was in prison. That is truly overflow. That is truly someone who knows that God is their source and God has got them and God is going to take care of them. That is someone who truly lives in and believes in abundance. And so that's what kind of originally led me to this text and to be thinking about this, that the joy quotes we love, the empowerment quotes we love, the provision quotes we love were not written from the best of circumstances. They were written from the worst of circumstances, from the worst of times, from the worst of moments, but an unshakable conviction and an unshakable peace and an unshakable joy that was there all along. And I don't know who this is for, but I'm speaking to someone so directly right now, because even as we begin this new year at the time of this recording or wherever on the calendar this reaches you, I know you're hearing it right on time. And I know that there are people listening to this and you feel like, Stefan, in a different season of my life, this will really help me. Once I get to the other side, I can really work this. If I wasn't dealing with this circumstance, with this situation, with this awful thing, man, I would be able to receive it all. I am on board. I am with you. This is just in the way. You got to understand, I'm just dealing with something right now. And I feel that there are people listening to this and listening to all of my teachings, and you feel like in consciousness or in circumstances, you are in a prison of your own. And so maybe this stuff does work, and maybe these principles are real, and maybe God is good and all these things, but you believe in the prison of your own. Whether it's internal or external, a prison in consciousness or a prison in circumstances, whatever it is for you, you feel like this stuff might be real and this stuff might be powerful and this stuff might work. It's just, I can't use it right now. I'm stuck, I'm trapped, I'm helpless until this shifts, until this heals, until this changes, until this gets better, until this happens. You feel like you're in some form of prison. And I guess I feel like I'm here today with a message that says, you're not gonna be there forever. I promise you that. But where your miracle begins is not getting out of prison. Where your miracle begins right here, right now, is connecting to the peace and the joy that are fully there for you, with you, and within you, even right now, and especially right now, in whatever feels like a prison for you. I kind of feel like there's two dominant groups of people that I'm supposed to speak to today. Group one would be the people that feel like, Stefan, I'm all on board with the positive, inspiring, empowering message. I just can't really do anything with it right now because I'm temporarily stuck in this prison. And I want you to know this message is exactly for you today. And it all begins with saying yes to peace and saying yes to joy, both of which you have access to the fullest right now. And that's group one. But then group two would be the achievement-oriented people that have just gotten used to living without peace and joy, but you've hidden it in a destination. You've hidden it in something that you believe is going to fix everything and solve all your problems. You've hidden it in the future. And you're telling yourself, I've just got to get there. I've just got to earn this, make this. I've just got to get to this point. Then I can relax. Then I can celebrate. Then I can enjoy. Then I can feel worthy or feel good enough or whatever it is. And I feel like I equally have a message for the achievement group, which is don't forget. Don't lose sight of the fact that you have access to unconditional and unlimited peace and joy right now.